somewhere, far away, and yet right around the corner, there's a seemingly endless forest. And in this forest is a path, and on this path walks a man. He's a short, chubby, little bald man who pushes an old wooden cart, which creaks with every turn of the wheels. As he walks along, he looks from side to side. Suddenly, he sees some grayish moss on the ground. Oh dear, someone has left behind their worries. He picks up the worries and places them gently into his cart and continues on. Further up the road, he finds an old charred stick. He picks it up, turns it over in his chubby little fingers and says, "You know, this anger is pretty well spent, but I know just the thing to get it started again." And he places the anger into the cart. He continues down the road and he hears some sounds coming from the woods, so he leaves the cart to investigate. There he finds two lovers, and he's overjoyed because their passion is dripping from the trees, enough for him to collect 3 bottles worth, which he does very quietly. And he places the bottles into the cart. As he continues along, he comes across an old woman sitting on a log knitting. "Oh, good day to you, grandmother." "Oh, good day to you, sir." "What is that you're knitting, my dear?" "Oh, this is a blanket of sorrow." "Oh, really? May I see it?" So she held it up for him. "Oh, that is indeed beautiful, my dear. Would you be willing to trade for it?" "Well, what do you have?" "Passion." "Is it fresh?" "Oh, yes, and very powerful." He took one of the bottles out and handed it to her. She held the golden liquid up to the light, unscrewed it, sniffed it, tasted it, and said, "Oh, that is good. What is your offer?" "1 jar of passion for the blanket of sorrow." "Make it 2 jars. 1 jar of passion and some worries." "I have plenty of worries as it is, sir." "Oh, my dear, one can never have too many worries." And the woman thought about it, finally agreed. So the peddler took her sorrow. In return, he gave her passion and plenty of worry. He took the blanket, placed it gently into the cart, and continued on. The road went on, and he heard some small crinkling beneath his feet and looked down and saw little tiny jewels and realized he was walking on a trail of tears. Not many, but enough. He bent down, picked up as many as he could find, put them into a little box, and placed that into the cart. A little further, he heard a roaring sound up from ahead and realized the road had been washed away by a river of depression. "Oh dear," he thought, "there must be some way for me to get over this depression. I wonder how deep it really goes." With that, he took his walking stick and started to prod here and there, trying to find a place shallow enough to ford across. When he found one, he went across, making sure he filled up several jars along the way. Then when he got to the other side, he looked very carefully, because he knew that next to a river of depression, one can always find a fountain of hope if one only looks hard enough. And he found it, and he filled up a bottle. As he was about to approach a town, he saw very large seeds on the ground. Picking one up, he looked at it and said, "Ah, pits of despair. These are very popular because they grow so easily." He picked up as many as he could find, put them into a bag, tied it up, put that into the cart. When he arrived in the town, he walked straight into the market square, calling out, "Emotions for sale, ideas, avenues of thoughts, all kinds, all sizes." Just then a tall, thin man walked by. "Excuse me, sir, can you use any emotions today?" No, thank you." "Are you sure, sir? Not even a drop?" "No, I never use emotion." "Oh, I see. Well, in that case, maybe you'd be willing to sell me some of that denial you have hanging around right now. I seem to be out of it myself." "Wait a minute, those chains are beneath my shirt. How did you know I was in denial?" "Denial makes a very loud sound, sir, very loud." "Well, I might be willing to trade you one of my chains, but I doubt you have anything I need." "Passion, fresh from this morning. Makes me queasy." "Jar of hope, no use for it." "Pits of despair. I'm not much of a gardener." "Well, that's the beauty. You don't have to be. Once you get despair to start growing, sometimes you can't stop it." No, not for me." "How about a bottle of depression? Leaves a bitter taste in my mouth." "Tell you what, I'm having a sale. 2 bottles of depression for 1 chain of denial. This way you can bathe in it." "Bathe in it?" "Oh, yes. Just add it to the bath water. Let me tell you, there's nothing like sinking deeper and deeper into depression. The man thought about it and finally agreed. He took off one of the chains, which clanged rather noisily, and handed it to the peddler. The peddler accepted the man's denial and let him walk home with his depression. Just then, two young ladies came by, and the first said, "Peddler, what do you have for a girl about to be married?" The peddler looked in his cart, moved things here and there, and pulled out a beautiful green cloak. "Here, it's jealousy. Try it on." She wrapped herself up in the cloak of jealousy and said, "Oh, it's a perfect fit. How much?" "Oh, jealousy will cost you. Do you have any true happiness?" She reached into her pocket and pulled out a few small grains. "A little. It'll cost all of your happiness." "That's more than I wanted to spend." Just then her friend chimed in, "Oh, that jealousy is you. You must have it." So she agreed. She gave the peddler all of her happiness and received jealousy in return. Then the friend said, "Peddler, do you have any love for me?" The peddler reached into the cart and pulled out a fuzzy clump of love. "Here. This is unconditional love. The finest there is. Very difficult to find, but if you find a little, there's probably a lot nearby." "Oh, no, 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 I don't want unconditional love. Everybody always wants that from me, and it's so hard to hold on to." The peddler looked at the love and said, "You know, you're right. It is hard to hold on to unconditional love, but I think I have some twine." He reached into the cart, took out some twine, and tied it to the love. "Here, now it's love with strings attached." This way you can always yank it back or tie it up so tightly no one can ever get it from you. She said, "That's perfect. It's just what I want. But how much? What do you have?" She reached into her pocket and pulled out a black jagged rock. "Will this do?" The peddler looked over the rock and said, "Oh yes, this will be fine." So the peddler gave her his love with strings attached, and she gave him frustration. As the peddler was walking out of the town, a rich middle-aged woman came and said, "Stop, peddler! Give me everything you have." "Everything, madam?" "Yes, everything. I've been going through all my emotions lately. In return, I will give you my gratitude." "Oh, indeed, that's a very generous offer. Of course, madam, of course." With that, the peddler gathered all the things from his cart, and he placed them into a chest that her servant was holding. The servant locked all the emotions away in his chest, and the woman gave the peddler her gratitude. The peddler took the gratitude and placed it gently in the cart. Then he continued on, and as he was leaving the town, he started to hum to himself and look from side to side, and he wondered what new things he would find in trade on his journey. And that story